All right, so once we've rolled out our slab, it's nice and consistent. I'm using a rolling pin and 2 3/8 inch dowels. Once we're done with those guys, and we have this nice slab, you can smooth out gently with a sponge or with a wooden rib or a rubber rib. Smooth the surface. I like to make sure both sides of my slabs are in good shape. This one has a little bit of funkiness in the edges, but we're going to cut those out anyways. All right, so to create soft slab construction, I've made a template. In theory, I'm going to be making kind of a mug-like shape, and I'll be using the actual form as the template for the base. So make sure I have enough clay there and at the bottom. I'm going to line up my template at the top. Use a fettling knife. I'm going to go right along that template, holding the blade nice and perpendicular to the table. If you use any weird edges with the fettling knife, it creates sharp spots. So you want to be nice and perpendicular with the table when cutting with your fettling knife. Okay, so I'm going to remove the excess clay. I'm going to be keeping this base clay for the bottom of my soft slab cylinder. So move all the extra away. And here we have a nice soft slab. Okay, I am going to cut this edge at an angle with my fettling knife. I'm going to rotate it and then cut this edge angle with my fettling knife. This way, this kind of joinery will meet on a nice angle. A nice angle where you can join those two forms. All right, so I'm going to score and slip. I'm going to use a serrated scraper. I'm going to score where I want to join my pieces. This little zipper effect. By scoring and slipping, you're creating that nice zipper or the Velcro, and you're going to dab some slip on. I'm not going to use a ton of slip, and I thinned out my slip a little bit so it doesn't create too thick of a connection point, since these are soft slabs. Slip. Again, dabbing, not smoothing, because you don't want to smooth out the lovely area that you just scored. So dabbing. And with soft slab construction, you don't need to have a ton of slip. All right. Shape it. Since this is a smaller form, you don't really need an interior structure to balance it. If it's a taller form, I might get like a tube, to place a tube inside. Since it's shorter, you can use this lovely rolling pin. Right, so now we're going to zipper up right here, where we scored and slipped. Kind of have my rolling pin in the middle for support. I'm going to gently press and compress that joint and that seam together. I'm also going to get my hand in there and also smooth out that seam. So now that we have our soft slab cylinder, I'm going to take the cylinder. I'm going to use the actual form as my template for the base. So I want to score and slip. Make sure to choose, I like this side better. Choose the nicer side for the top, because you won't see the bottom. It'll be score and slip to the base. I like to use a pin tool when cutting out forms that have rounded edges. I find that if I try to use a fettling knife, there's too many cuts. Whereas if I use a pin tool, and again I'm holding it as perpendicular to the table as possible, take away this extra clay. So now we have our base. All right. You're going to score and slip your base on as well. Take your serrated scraper, drag it along where you're going to connect the base of this soft cylinder. Score it along the base here. Dab on some slip. And this is a little bit thinner slip for the softer construction. Right. Flip your cylinder over, place it, line it up, make sure it's the shape that you want it. Turn it over. Since there's a little excess clay here, you can drag this extra clay down and into your piece to get a really nice joined base. I like to rough things up and then smooth them out. It kind of erases that memory of the clay. Then you can use a tool that has a flatter side. Use the back of the scraper. Gently scrape that extra off and erase that memory of the base. So I'm using a wooden rib to do this. Nice, seamless base to your bottom. You can go on and then put your name on the bottom, period number. Work on smoothing out or adding textures to this form. And since it's still a soft clay, you can also add an underglaze to the surface and do a sgraffito technique where you carve through with a contrasting color to the white clay. And that is soft slab construction.